Welcome to Worksheet 18. So we've got prepositional phrases, part 2. It's bugging me that I forgot to put that in parentheses, so there you go. On the front here we have some special situations that we give names to with these prepositional phrases. Sometimes they line up really nicely. In Latin and English they behave exactly the same way. Sometimes they're a little bit different. So first one we have here, accusative of place to which. Very creative name for this. Basically, if you're going towards a place. Nothing fancy there. So our example sentence here, ad Italiam iter This is an expression, iter literally means I make a journey. This would be how the Romans would say I travel. So I travel ad Italiam, to Italy. So use the preposition ad in Latin, use the preposition to in English. That lines up pretty nicely. Okay? And of course, the accusative case. Ablative of place where, we've already talked about. So habito, I live in Italia. In Italy. I live in Italy. Okay? So it's the place where you live. Pretty straightforward on that one too. Place from which, we're leaving from a particular location. So we need some kind of a motion verb here. Discedo means to leave. So I leave. Now you need the preposition in Latin. You need the ex, right? But in English, you don't really say I leave out of Italy, right? So you could say I leave Italy, right? You don't really need anything else. So I leave Italy, or I depart from Italy, if you wanted to keep the preposition in there. But there are a couple different ways that you can say this in English, okay? Accusative, duration of time. So not when something is happening, not the exact point when it's happening, but what's the span of time that you're doing something. So for how long? No preposition in Latin. So duas horas is 2 hours. Maneo, I remain, I stay. So you can't just say, I stay 2 hours. You could, but in English, usually we throw a for in there. I stay for 2 hours. So this would be a situation where you would have a preposition in English, but you would never have one in Latin. You would not say, you wouldn't put a preposition in front of 2 hours. It would just be in the accusative case. Duas horas. I stay for 2 hours, for the span of 2 hours. Ablative of time. When? Time words really don't go with prepositions in Latin. Even though in English you're going to say, I will leave, discedam, I made it future. I will leave secunda hora, at the second hour. We would probably say in English, at 2 o'clock. So you need to add in something in English. If it's an hour, you would probably say in English, at that hour. If it was a day, you'd probably say, I will leave on that day. If it's a month, I will leave in February, in March, in April. If it's a year, I will leave in the 4th year. I mean, mostly in, right? But with some time words, it's going to be at, okay? And then extent of space, which is accusative, is distance. So for how long in space instead of in time. So duomilia, which is 2 miles, duomilia passum means 2 miles. So curo, I run. We could say, in English, we could say I run 2 miles. I run for 2 miles. I run a length of 2 miles. A couple different ways you could do this. But this is how you would give the space, the distance that you are going. Okay. So these are a couple of special prepositional situations. We have this little blurb here about the genitive case. When the genitive comes to the party, most often it will go in between the prep phrase. So it'll go between the preposition and the word that the preposition is governing. So if I just said in cubiculo, it would just say in the bedroom. If you put a genitive in the middle, you're telling me whose bedroom? In the mother's bedroom. to the soldiers' camp, or to the camp of the soldiers. So just like in English, you can put it like this in the middle, or you can put it at the end and do the of translation. You can do the same thing in Latin. More often in Latin, it actually goes in between the two. Okay. So on our prepositional phrases that we have down here, we have a few that have genitives mixed in, so just be ready for that. Prope, number one, prope means near. Parvam domum, prope takes the accusative. These are both in the accusative. So near the small house. Domum, even though it's got domum, it's feminine. So that's why we have parvam, near the small house. Propter, the preposition propter is because of, or on account of. Those are kind of synonymous in English. Virorum is in the genitive. So we need this word, multitudinem. Multitudinem means a large number. So because of the large number, virorum, the large number of men. Because of the large number of men, the multitude of men, we weren't able to get through. Something like that. So that genitive is just kind of hugging inside. Number 3 here, ultra means beyond, right? As in like past. Excelsum is high up. Caelum is the sky. So beyond the lofty sky, beyond the sky that's way up there, right? Beyond the heavens. Ultra takes the accusative, so that's why we have excelsum caelum in the accusative case. Beyond the lofty sky, there is space. In Germanorum terra, or in terra Germanorum, in can go with either accusative or ablative, depending on the situation. We have it with the ablative here, in terra, in the land, Germanorum, in the land of, the genitive, in the land of the Germans, right? Genitive plural. In Germanorum terra, in the land of the Germans, or in the Germans' land. The preposition sine means without. It takes the ablative. Sine multis piscatoribus. A piscator, anything with a tor in it, that's a person who does something. So piscator is a fisherman. It's a fishman. So without multis, without many fishermen. Fishermen. The plural of fisherman. Fishermen. Okay. Number 6, in this case, we use because the next word starts with a consonant, so we don't need x, right? Fossa. Means out of. Fossa, I think I got auto-corrected on that long mark, so my apologies. There should be a long mark there. I guess fossa is a perfectly good English word. It's actually, yeah. Fossa is a ditch. So this part of your arm, this little cup in your elbow, that's called a fossa. So out of the... Now, alta can mean many different things. If you're thinking about a ditch, I probably wouldn't say tall, right? Ditches go the opposite direction. So alta can mean tall. It can also mean deep. So out of the deep ditch. The joys of copying and pasting, when I copied the chart and changed the words from the previous one, I forgot to change number 7, so you have definitely seen number 7 before. Above our fire. So you got that one for free. Post tantam kenam. Post means after. It can also mean behind. But since we're talking about a dinner, I don't know that we would be saying behind the dinner, like somebody was standing behind the dinner. That would be kind of weird. So I would go with after here. Tantam. Tantam is a great word. It's tan in Spanish, for my Spanish speakers. It means so big. Such a big. So after such a large cena, after such a large dinner, I had Thanksgiving on the brain when I was writing this. After such a large dinner, we slept for 3 hours. Something like that. Took a 3-hour nap. All right, those are the easy ones. Now we get to the ones that are a little bit more difficult. So under the big rock, I did not give you a sentence, so sub can be accusative or ablative. If we're digging a tunnel under the rock, that would be accusative. Or if like my treasure is buried under the big rock, it would be ablative. So I'm going to go with ablative, just a personal choice. Under the big rock, I asked you to use this word for rock. There are so many words for rock. So lapis lapidus, I'm going to make that ablative, so my stem lapid. So sub lapida. I need you guys to be able to change words into different cases. Fingers crossed. And then big, lapis is masculine, so magno. Sub lapide magno, or sub magno lapide. You might also find the word saxum for a rock, so it could be sub saxo magno, sub petra magna. Petra is another word for rock. I just wanted you to go with this one because it's third declension, and that's more fun. Throughout the long years, so through or throughout is per. Per takes the accusative case. So we need long years in the plural, years. So a year is an annos. So per annos. Right? Per annos longos. Or per longos annos. You could mix up the adjective and the noun. They could go in either order. Per annos longos, per longos annos. Throughout the long years, there have been many events. Blah, 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 blah. Within, frequently mistaken preposition, intra. Intra means within. Inter means between or among. So that comes into English, if anything is international, it is between different countries. If it's intra, like a intrastate law or something like that, it's just within your state. Okay, so inter, between. Within is like, Jaden, inside of. Whereas between, there's not necessarily a boundary. So like I could have a rock here and a rock here, and I could say I'm between these two rocks, but I'm not surrounded by rocks, if that makes sense. So within always means there's some kind of boundary and you have to stay inside of it, right? I got you. I know what you're talking about. So between is usually when you have multiple things. And then within is like within a city, within the walls, within the cave, right? It's like saying inside of. Within is also inside of. Because the opposite of intra is extra. Extra means outside of. So intra means inside of. Extra means outside of. Within the walls, so the walls are going to be in the accusative case because intra takes the accusative. Intramuros. Yeah, we had that word, I think, on the previous worksheet as well. Jaden, what am I going to do with of the city? Within the walls of the city. Which would be herbs. What's the genitive of herbs? And do we put it here? Herbis. Nice. I tend to put it in the middle. I like it being kind of tucked in the middle there, kind of part of the phrase. It could be on the other side. It could be at the end of the prep phrase, but I like it being tucked in there. And last but not least, before the beginning of the game. So we have two words that we could use for before. I like to typically default when you're talking about time. It's usually ante. What's up, Alexa? You're just in time. We're on the last one. So before in terms of time is usually ante. Before in position is pry. So it's interesting, in English, we take pry like pre. So if you think about sports, you've got the pre-game show, you have the post-game show. They don't call it the ante-game show and the post-game show. They say pry, pre and post. So sometimes these things don't come into English exactly how you might expect them to. Pry can mean before in terms of time, but ante definitely. The game? What's the Latin word for game? It's the same word as school, believe it or not, but not scola, the other word for school. It is a ludus. So before we get to that word, though, it's before the beginning of the game. So I'll save the genitive for the end. Okay. Beginning is initium. That might be a new word for us. Probably never seen that word. But initiate, right? In English, when you initiate something, that is the start of something. So ante initium and then ludi. Ante ludi initium or ante initium ludi. You could switch the words around however you want. And that's what we got. So we won't have our quiz this week, but we will have our quiz next week. So we'll keep practicing with prepositions. This is a good way for us to review our vocabulary, review our endings. Prepositions are a nice unit because they kind of force us to go backwards a little bit and practice all of those little skills. So hopefully we'll be ready for it next week. Fingers are crossed. All right, kiddos, any questions before we take off? Alexa says no. Jaden meant to hit the A, but he hit the caps lock. All right, I'm going to keep on snacking. Thank you, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.